Okay, we're back to the triphasic range plyometric method. We're going to talk about some programming concepts. And with that, what will happen is, let's say I have an athlete that needed to work on power and top end speed. Okay, so when I say that, you tested him, you say, hey, I got a young, and where this falls maybe into my programming is it's more of my incoming freshman per se, or something along those guidelines within season. And all these methods, I actually think they work better in season to work more sport specific. Now, so let's say I need somebody to work the bottom and the top, okay? And I'm a coach that has 50 kids coming in. I want everybody to do hurdle plyometrics. Now, here's how you can change this. What happens is at zone 1, so let's say I want to work the bottom first. So in my opinion, you always work, if they need any of these ranges, they need to start here and they would end with this at the top range. So the bottom, let's say you have a 6-week plan. So you work 3 weeks at the bottom and then you work 3 weeks at the top. So how we would do hurdle hops then is a majority of people will jump through hurdle hops simultaneously, and they will, let's say they would just do it consecutively. What we do here is, if we have to work bottom for 3 weeks, okay, the way I coach my kids is what they'll do is they'll go down, and maybe I'm doing rebound. They'll go down and they'll jump right over the hurdle, they land, and then they reset. They go down to the deep position and jump over the hurdle. So it's almost a reset. So I don't actually have to change the type of jumping they do. Okay, so for the first 3 weeks, those athletes will just go, they'll jump over the hurdle, they'll land, they'll go down to the deep position and jump over again, land, reset, quickly fall down. Now again, you can do pause with this. You can go down, pause in the deep position, explode out. Okay, you can do the AFSM method where they land deep into the deep position, pull themselves into position, jump up and reset. So you can see we have the rebound, we have the pause, and we have AFSM. So we have rebound, we have pause, and then the ASFM. All three of those can be done in that first 3 weeks, however you want to load it. Then the next one, and I'm not telling you which ones to do, you have to work with your staff and each other to devise that. That's the beauty of this in the art of coaching, when it all comes together. Now the top zone, let's say this athlete also needed to work at the top range. So what we'll do is you can have the athlete jump, land in the top zone, and then quickly go over. So that's a rebound. So that looks like your typical hurdle hops that most people do. It goes boing, boing, boing. Now you could do it with a pause. If it's out of season, not something I would do, or you would do it out of season, not in season. I would do repetitive rebound method. You can also do ASFM. Now remember, I mentioned a similar video where if I was doing ASFM with the top range of motion, I would probably lower the hurdles so they go over with a slight leg bend and land in this top position. So they're straight leg. Just before they land, they pull themselves to here, and as soon as they hit, they explode up. Okay? And I think with that being said, those three, through first 3 weeks, second 3 weeks, especially in season, peaking your athletes, or whether it's a track event, whatever it may be, I think you have a very good option here to change up and get the most out of your athlete for that particular method. But I'm just giving you examples of that. Now, each one of those could be done with loaded, obviously body weight, can't be done with banded on the hypers or the unloaded acceleration, but you can see all the combinations. I'm roughly going to say there's about 12. Okay, but that's just an example of how hurdle hops can be adjusted to focus on different zones and ranges. Okay, now let's say you wanted to throw a mid-range in there. Okay, I would say lineman would be an excellent mid-range. So maybe instead of having a top zone, we go with the mids. The mid-range in the next 3, especially let's say for the lineman group, tight ends even, especially a long-legged athlete. I would say your centers in basketball, anybody that has a long range of motion to push, taller athletes, linemen that weigh more, big boned athletes you'll find that lack top end speed, you may want to go with this level. Now, with the mid-range plyometrics with hurdle hops, and I'll go back with some other plyometrics in the next video. But with the mid-range is, remember, so we've talked about the rebound with the pause of the ASFM. Big bone one thing I would probably do, I might not do the hurdle hops. I might do and we'll talk about it, a box drop-off rebound up onto a box and then walk off. And maybe I'll do that next on the next video. Let me write that up. We can do that. Now, with the mid-range, remember the one beautiful one I think is really good is that we can throw in any of the ones we talked about. You can land at mid-range, rebound quick. You can do a pause. Probably wouldn't do it for peaking. I would do it maybe in the off season with a pause. But then you can do the thrust method where you land deeper, go all the way to the bottom, use your momentum to come out, and then snap once you get to that mid-range point. So when your knees hit that the mid-range, then you're snapping up to use the thrust method out of there. And that's what you do each time. And then eventually, so I think what you could do if you felt mid-range was important all the time, go down, you can pause in the beginning 3 cycles with this, and then do the mid-range thrust example because you're working on acceleration. I think that would be a very beneficial program for large, big-boned linemen and so forth. Okay, now next one I'll talk about is probably the box jump for you. It's another excellent way to work with big athletes, and it's to cause a rebound effect.